Okay. Recording, sharing. Okay, good. And let's go to let's go here. Oops. Okay, here. Rain in its proper time. So let's go to the Shema again, and we're doing the second paragraph. And we've spoken about this, but where did we go? Oops. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here, and then if you obey the commandments that I enjoin upon you this day, loving the Lord your God and serving him with all your heart and all your soul. So this if you should listen to God, says the, let's see the Sophono here. Right? He says, Im shmu tishmu v'nasati mata aratzachem. Then the next verse says, I will grant the rain in your land in season, the early rain and the late rain. Shall gather in your new grain, the wine and the oil. And I will also provide grass in the fields for your cattle. And thus you shall eat your fill. So it says the connection. If you will listen, and I'll grant rain. You will get your livelihood painlessly. And you'll be able to serve God. If not, lo yite mata klal, you won't get any rain. Lo yeh lechem mazon lachiyos bo, and you won't have the food to live in the land. So again, says the Sforno, that this is the great condition over here, that God says, I'm prepared to provide for you. Right? What is a God? Do not have any other gods. What is a God? God is many things. I'm sure you all love, as I do, the part in the machzor, when we say Anu banecha v'yata avinu, we are your children, you are our father, we are your people, you are our God, we are your sheep, you are our shepherd. God is many things to us, but he's the provider, he's the ultimate provider. So God says to us, listen, I'm giving you the opportunity. Your job is to listen to my commandments. Live in the way that I'm instructing you, and I will give you every opportunity to deepen that, to be able to study, to have time to study the Torah, to know what to do, to gain insight in what you're doing, to understand this world and understand me through the Torah, and I will bless you. I will bless you with the rain in its time, and you'll gather your grain, and your animals will have what to eat, and you will eat and be satisfied. So, this is the great, when we talk about Kabbalah's all mitzvahs, just once again, we accept upon ourselves the yoke of the mitzvahs. It really means, it's not so complicated. It's really pretty simple. This is the agreement that we have with God. Okay. What does it mean? I will give you rain on your land, be'itoi, in its time, Yora Malkosh, the early and the late rain, v'asafta de ganecha v'saroshcha v'yitzarecha, you will gather your you will gather your grain, and v'siroishecha is your wine, v'yitzarecha and your oil. So there are a few beautiful Rashis here I want to go through with you. Says Rashi, "V'nasati mata aretzechem." I will put, I will give rain in the land. Asise ma she'aleichem. Says Rashi, you have done what was upon you to do, what devolved upon you. Afani ese ma she'alai. Also, I will do what's on me. Rashi is saying over here that who is God? Why can't Barry Musselson get in? Let me ask him what. Did anyone need a password?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Whoa,
Correct.
what happened there?
See if we can help Barry. Okay.
They've changed a bit of the system with the Zoom.
What, from that side?
They're
Okay.
letting people in and all that.
Yeah. Okay. So, what were we saying? That the Jewish conception of God is not an abstract concept. It's a very important idea, this, that we have a relationship with God. We are in a relationship. Now, some people speak about a relationship, they refer to the experience of the relationship, and of course that's true. If you're in a relationship, you experience it. That's part of what a relationship's about. It's dynamic, you're experiencing, it's real, it's practical. There's also great purpose to the relationship with God, and that normally we speak about the purpose. Why? What does God want from us? What has He given us? What is our opportunity? What can we do to further? God has provided so much, and we just got to do a little bit. I have a friend over here in Baltimore, actually a famous glass maker, Maestro Gianni Tozo, and he's a Venetian glass blower, actually 5th generation. He converted later in life, and he still makes glass, beautiful. Actually, in the Hebrew Museum, the Jerusalem Hebrew Museum, what am I thinking about, Marcus? The Israel Museum. The Israel Museum, there's one of his pieces. It's a chess set made out of glass. Very interesting. Anyway, he is an unbelievable intellect, and he says, our job is to complete the mitzvah of creation. And it's important to look at our role, and I think a lot of our experience of a lot of the way we talk about Yiddishkeit is in terms of our purpose. What are we here to do? Let's see, Barry is, use.
Am I the only one having issues tonight? I'm struggling to stay connected.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I've lost it again.
Can you hear me?
Now you're back.
Is it going in and out?
Yeah, it is. Am I the only one that's going in and out, or are the others also experiencing issues?
I'm fine.
So it might be you, Greg.
Lost
Sorry.
connection in my house.
Yeah. Okay. So the point. What's the point I'm trying to make? Is that we're living with a dynamic relationship with God. It's a very real relationship. We follow in God's ways, and God blesses us with the rain in its proper time. As it says later on, be careful, because if you don't follow these ways, you're going to be thrown off the land, and you're not going to have the rain, and you know. So that is it's really important to think in terms of, you know, who are we as Jews? Who are we as Jews? We're living with a dynamic covenantal relationship with God, and it's a reality. It's not a belief. It's not, you know, there is a God, and no, it's a real give and take. It's a real relationship that's going on. Okay, so says Rashi, Bi'itoi, I'll give rain in its time. I'll give it at night, where it won't bother you. You'll be able to do what you need to do during the day, and you'll have the rain at night. Davar acher, says Rashi, Bi'ita b'leila shabbos shekol mitzuim b'bateim. On Friday nights, when everyone's already at home. So, you know, it's just it's a beautiful Rashi, because it shows that the blessing that God gives us of rain in its time, you know, it's really for our benefit, you know, and every benefit. God can do things. It's, you know, it's not just, of course, every farmer is just happy if it rains properly, you know, fine. But here's rain. It didn't even bother us. We get rain at night. We get rain on Friday nights when everyone's at home. I guess, I'm just thinking Rashi's saying on Friday nights, because maybe that's if you're not a farmer. But any other night, right? The bracha is, it's in a very specific, personalized way. Okay, Yoire, says Rashi, here Avira Nefeles La'acha Hazriya. That is the first rain which falls after the sowing time, which is Maver Shemarva Es Haaretz Ve'es Hazraim. It drenches, it saturates the soil and the seed. So the root of the word Yoreh is the same as Rava, Marva, which means to saturate. So I'll give rain in its time, Yoreh, the saturating rain at the beginning, O Malkosh, I'll give thee, says Rashi, Ravia Hara Yoredes Samach Lekatzir. This is the later rain, which falls just before the harvest, Lamalus Atfur Bakasha. And it has the effect of filling the grain, making it ripe and full before the harvest. Okay, and Rashi goes on with a bit more of the etymology over there. V'asafte deganecha, and you will gather in your grain. Ata ta'asfenu el habayas, you will be able to bring it into your house, to gather it into your house. V'lo oivecha, and it will not be stolen. Your enemies will not take it. You know, one thing is to have the blessing of producing something. Another thing is eating that produce. So v'yasafte deganecha is you shall gather it in. You'll be able to partake of it. V'siroishecha v'yitzarecha, the wine and the oil. Okay. V'nasati Esev, v'sadecha livhimtecha. I will put grass in the field for your animals. V'achalta v'savata, and you will eat and be satisfied. So it says Rashi, V'nasati Esev b'sadecha, shelo titztarich lo'licha lemidbaros. You won't need to take your animals out to pasture in the desert, in the wilderness. It will be there in your field. Umashlich lifnei behemtecha. You'll be able to cut down your produce during the rainy season, and you'll throw it in front of your animals. You'll just stop 30 days before the reaping season. And you won't have any reduction in your produce. So again, this it's unbelievable blessing when you think about what is included in the possibility of this world. Look at this next Rashi. V'achalta v'savata. You'll eat and be satiated. What's the bracha? Zuhu bracha acheres. That's another blessing. Shetieh bracha mitzuya b'pas b'toika mayim. The blessing will be on the bread within the stomach, meaning that you'll digest everything that there's to digest. It will be healthy for you. Your body will digest it properly, and you'll have energy from it. If we just think about for a second how much energy, how much nourishment, how much goodness there is in the ground, in all the vegetables, all the produce, all the fruits that grow. It's really unbelievable how much, that when I told you before that my friend Maestro Tozo says that we need to complete the creation. How much is left to complete already? It's all there. It's so beautiful. It's such a wonderful system. It's so perfect. If we would just do our little bit, is 98.9% done, and all we got to do is 1.1%? I don't know what percentage, but it's when one sees the bigger picture, when one contemplates how amazing this world is and what God has given us, one can be really filled with an appreciation, but also motivation to complete it, to complete this world, to use it in a sensitive, elevated way, following God's ways, to complete it out of what we say in Hebrew, be'ahava, out of love, because that's you just want to be a part of this. Why it's so beautiful. Let's work together to bring this world to its completion. So the bracha here is you'll have what you need, right? Like the Sforno said, and you'll be free to serve God without having to spend much time on your physical needs. You could really imbibe in Torah and mitzvahs and do that properly. A beautiful Maharal of Prague that says, why do we say the bracha hamoitzi lechem min haaretz? God, you bring out lechem, bread from the land. So he says it's a bit of an anomaly, because if we look at the other brachas, they say borei, borei priogofim, borei eitz, who creates the fruit of the tree, who creates the fruit of the vine. Why didn't we say borei lechem, who creates bread? So he says that really one of his answers is that really God created the world in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden. Bread came from the tree, be it wheat, I'm not quite sure, but the bread was there. It was created. It was something man didn't have to do. It's only because of the sin that we now have to work hard to bring it to its completion. Right? We have to work harder to bring it to its completion. But really, in potential, it's there. All that nourishment, all that bread, it's really there in the world. And again, if we would do what we are meant to do, if we would do our part of the relationship, if we would do our part of the relationship, so then the bread would get back to that stage, would get back to that that state of being where bread would grow from the trees. Why not? Something absolute, the Maharal speaks about in the beginning of Tiferes Yisrael, an interesting midrash that says the animals don't need to prepare their food so much. They just eat and that's it. They don't have to go through this elaborate preparation process. Think how much time we spend, how much effort is spent in preparing food, in making it edible and tasty for man. And the Midrash says because that's only because man sinned. That's a result of sin. If we would do proper teshuvah, would really repent and get back to the level of Adam Arishon, to the state that man's meant to be in, we wouldn't have to. There's enough in this world that under the right conditions would provide 100% ready meals, right? McDonald's is ahead of its time, right? But the ground would provide that. Okay, now, so here we have a world in which we're listening to what God says. We're serving Him because we love Him. We love what's happening, and we are getting the rain at a time that it doesn't bother us. We're getting the rain in the beginning and the end when it's most necessary for the produce. We're gathering in the fruits of our produce that we can benefit from them. And we even have oil and wine, things which are extras, and our animals have food, and we'll eat, and there'll be a blessing even within what we eat. There's a blessing that will take out every nutrient, and it will get that bracha in our stomachs, as Rashi says. So it says now, Hishamaru lachem, be careful, guard yourselves. Pen yifte levavchem, perhaps your hearts will be seduced, lured away. V'sartem, you'll turn away. Va'avadatem Elohim achirim, and you'll serve other gods. V'ishtachavisem lehem, and you'll bow down to them. So Rashi says over here, beautiful again. It's just worthwhile studying these Rashis properly. Hishamur lechem, guard yourself, says Rashi. Kivin shitiyu oichlim osveim. Since you're going to be eating and satisfied, Hishamru lechem shelo tiv'atu. Be careful. Don't get on your high horse. You're not so great. Do not kick. She'en adam moirid b'Kadosh Baruch Hu ela mitoich svia. Because when does a person rebel? When he's satisfied. When we don't think we need God anymore. When we've got what we need, okay, thank you. We don't need you anymore. This is what it says later on. Actually, before this, right? Perhaps lest you eat and are full, and you have herds and flocks increase. And what does it say? What does it say after that? And your heart will be lifted up, and you shall forget the Lord your God. Blessing needs to be guarded. Blessings need to be guarded, and the kli, the vessel that guards a blessing is humility. The vessel that guards blessing is humility. Remain humble. Remain grateful. Know where your blessings came from and acknowledge it. If you're going to start to take it for granted, if you're going to think that, oh, you know, Ram Levavcha, what does it mean? Your heart will be uplifted. Ram means on top of, uplifted. You'll think, oh, I'm better than other people. Look at me. Look how able I am. Look how clever I am. Right? All of this great blessing, must be me. So that's very bad. Right? That is very bad, because then you don't need God so much. You know, there's a beautiful saying I heard in the name of the Briskerov. He said a person could really have betachon for anything. Betachon means to trust in God. You wake up in the morning, you don't know where you're going to get, to pay your bills this month. You can have betachon. You can put your trust in God, and it works. It works. So says the Briskerov. Now, it's got to be very sincere, and each person has to do the amount of ishtadlus that they got to do, the amount of work that they need to do to bring it. Can't rely on a miracle, but you can trust in God that He'll take care of you. Put in your work and see what happens. Says the Briskerov, what happens if you really want to make it big? You're like, okay, God, it's very nice that I'm going through month to month here, but I saw that there's a lottery. Here in America, we get lotteries for like $500 million. I mean, you can become one of the richest people on earth just with a $2 investment. So you wake up one morning, you see that the lottery is at 500 million, and you say, I have faith. I'm trusting in God that I'm going to win the lottery. So is it going to work? Let's say you could really do this. You could really put your trust in God. So said the Briskerov, no, God's not going to give you something for which it will destroy your need for betachon, to trust in him anymore. Meaning, if you're going to win the 500, guess what happens? Well, thank you very much, God, and you'll never speak to him again. You'll never think about him again. Why would God give you that? Why would God give you something which is going to sever your relationship? So humility is the ability to accept blessings and never take them for granted. Never take them as one's own success. Never don't accredit yourself too much. Right? Give credit where credit's due. Know that how much, that's what David HaMelech says in Pirkei Avos. Give to God what is his, because everything is his. Kol shaloi. Right? We are his. We're made by him. But we just have a little bit to do. That little bit to do is normally choices. Just make the choice to serve God, to try to do what he said, to make every effort, and then watch the blessing. So that's a very important, and a beautiful Rashi, a beautiful way to explain what's going on over here. So that's part of the blessing, I think. That first Tishamru Lechem is, normally we read it, be careful, you blah blah, like beware, like here's a warning. But Rashi says no, it's going on what came before. It's guard it. Hishamru Lechem, guard it for yourself. Guard the blessings with your humility, and don't ever become arrogant and assume that you are the cause for your blessings. All right, everyone. Nice to see you all again.
Thank you.
Those who I can. Any comments or questions? Mama, you're speaking because you're muted, unfortunately. Okay.
Your Yom Kippur.
Yes, very nice. Thank you.
Everybody's Yom Kippur all right? Anyway.